Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy iced coffee day. Happy day 6 of Halloween. Yes, day 6. You guys, we're almost, a quarter of the way there. So, good morning, good morning. I'm going to turn you guys around and we will get started. So, here we go. All right. I have out an 8x10 canvas. Let me fix my camera a little bit. It's a little bit off. This way. Okay. This way. Yes. All right. Got that. So I have an 8x10 canvas. I'm going to trace on our design. I have my graphite paper and my tracer, and we will get started. Yes, you could freehand. I'm not big on freehanding circles, honestly. There's a lot of things I will freehand, but when it comes to a circle, not really. So I will usually find something about the right size to trace. You know, I never use a ruler. I'm not big on the ruler thing and being so specific. But when I'm doing a circle can get wonky real fast. So when I'm doing a circle, I will usually find something to trace. But I have the tracer. You have the tracer too. It is in the download and the supply list. One of the things I love about this painting is that it only has 4 colors: black, white, blue, and purple. I'm using purple pizzazz, but you can use grape juice. You could use any kind of purple that you want. I'm drawing in the branches here. I think these are going to have to come off a little bit, but we'll see. You know what? I'm just going to draw them in as is. And then if I want to later, I can just make them so much longer when I'm painting in all the offshoots and the little tiny branches. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and I'm going to outline the raven. I'm not going to put all these little lines in the raven. They're on your tracer. You do not need them. You can even make his outside area here where I'm doing it. You can make it round, straight, and not put in all the little zigzags, and then just put them in with your brush. Okay, I am going to trace in the eye, and then like here where our brush strokes are going to change between the head and the body. All right, and I think that looks good. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to toss my tracer aside, fold up my graphite paper, and then I'm going to do one more thing. I have a black Sharpie, and I'm going to trace the outside of my raven. Just so when I come in here with the moon, you'll still be able to see the raven. Oh, I didn't do this bottom line here of this branch. There we go. All right. And I said you can make it as smooth or as jagged as you want. Our raven's going to be mostly black. I just want to be able to see his body when we go around it with the white for the moon, and you will see that when I get started painting. Okay? So I have out here my paint palette and some brushes. I have a larger flat brush. I have a medium round brush. I have a small detail brush, and I have a liner brush. I'm going to get out some of this true blue. It's kind of like a royal blue, and some white. Okay, I probably don't even need it near that much. All right. And then, I'm going to change this larger flat brush for a smaller flat brush. Let's see which one. Why don't I have a smaller flat brush? hanging around here. God knows I have hundreds of them. Because I'm looking for one with a nice edge. That's why. I'll just use this one. Okay. So I'm going to load my brush with white. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on it, pulling some of the paint out from the puddle, putting some pressure on my brush so it brings my fibers together. And I'm going to pick up some blue. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to start painting in my moon. I'm not going to worry too much about the edges of my raven, because we're going to come back to the edges of our raven with black. And that's going to cover up anything that maybe, so if we don't do our edges exactly, the black will come in here and fix all that. So I'm not going to worry about that. So this side's a little bit dark, so I'm going to start picking up some white. I might need to let that dry a little bit. And I'm just going around. Okay. And I'm going to add in white. Okay. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do a little bit under him. And again, I'm not worrying about being neat or worrying about right under the branches or my raven, because we're going to go over that with black, and the black is going to clean up everything. So look how messy I did that. Look how messy. Went right over his legs. I'm coming out here in between the branches, right over his legs. Okay, but I'm going to keep pulling in a little bit of white in here because I started out with way too much blue, which is good in a way, because now I'm going to show you how easy it is to just lighten this up and fix it. All right, we don't want to overblend. We want to see the white and the swishes in here. There's all kinds of different values of my blue going on in here. Okay, then I'm going to wash my brush. Give it a nice rinse. And I'm going to put out some fresh black. I'm going to stick with this same brush, although I could go larger, but why? And we're going to paint around the whole entire thing. So I'm going to paint all around the moon, and I'm going to do my edges. So we're not, I'm being careful, but if you're not careful here, it's okay, because in the end, this is going to be a very abstract painting, and we're going to be adding a lot of messy, oh, I know, sometimes it's hard for me to accept that, a lot of messy brush strokes. We pretty much do our branch last. And so if this is not perfect, it's okay, but I'm trying to be neat. And there's no reason that we shouldn't be neat. It's good practice, right? To be able to control our brush strokes. We're going to come back in here with the branch at the end. So don't fret that I went over it. I'm just sliding my brush up and going around. Okay. I'm going to do this whole thing. If you're on a stretched canvas like I am, you can even do the edges, which I'm going to do. My edges are always different. Sometimes they match, sometimes they don't, sometimes I leave them, sometimes I put something really quirky pattern around the edge, like I did with this jack-o'-lantern. So the possibilities for your stretched canvas edges are endless. So I'm just filling all these in around. Okay. Oh, missed one. There's only 4. You'd think I should be able to count to 4 and know if I did 4 or not. Okay, there we go. So there is the outside. That looks good already, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to put my brush in water. Okay, now I'm going to go to my, this is a little big. I need a different round. Let me grab a brush. I'm not used to painting on an 8x10, so I need a bit of a smaller brush to do that. Small round, small round. Is this one smaller? This one's a little bit smaller, right? Yeah. So you guys know I've said it plenty of times. Brushes are not universally sized. What is a 12 in Artist Loft is not a 12 in Princeton or whatever brushes that they sell at Hobby Lobby. Okay, so we're going to work on our raven now. The important part of our raven, I'm going to roll my brush over here in the black. I'm using this smaller round brush. I'm going to just pick up a little bit of white. We want our raven to have tiny strokes. Okay, tiny, tiny strokes. We're going to pick up some black. We're going to pick up some white. And we're going to put in some tiny strokes. You want some of them to come off the back. And I'm just quick. I don't fix my brush. Quick little dabs. We want it to look feathered. I'm going to come down here. And I'm pulling up for the tail feathers. Quick little strokes. And they get layered one on top of the other. So I'm just going to pick up black, come over here and dip in a little bit of white, and I'm going to keep filling in these little tiny strokes for our raven. Layering and layering, black, white, gray, and at the end we'll add some fresh white to make some highlights. Little tiny, I'm holding my brush up far so I have loose hand grip on it up here. I'm not down here, I'm up here. And I'm just flicking in little strokes. Sometimes I like to come from the bottom and then I'll bring the top down and over. Okay. I know when we think of a raven, or at least when I think of a raven, I think of a raven being black. And sure, they're black. But if I were to just paint this whole bird a black blob, it wouldn't really mean anything. It would just be a black blob. So you want some dimension. You want all these different layers and values of the black and the white. You want to be able to see feathers. You want to be able to see the tail. You want to be able to see the wing. Okay? And I'm just going to wipe off my brush a little bit. Because now I'm just going to come in here with straight black. We're going to let that dry. And I'm going to add in our talons. And I think I'm going to switch to my smaller brush. This is a very small round. And we're going to do our beak. Our beak, our legs, and up around the neck is a little bit darker. So when you're coming up here, I'm going to fill this in now with a little bit of dark paint and pull these dark strokes down. And our head, actually, when we do our head, and now my painting is upside down, we want our strokes to be rounded. So we're still doing the little tiny strokes, but now I have this little brush and I'm doing around the eye, and I'm making these strokes rounded. So round off the head. We want to try and skip the eye as best we can. And so the strokes under the eye are in a smiley face, and the strokes above the eye and to the back are curved down like a C. I'm going to pick up a tiny, tiny bit of white and start adding it in here for behind my eye. A little bit more white. Okay. Now, this is beginner. Don't fret. Okay, we have a lot more layers to put in here. I'm going to pick up the black. The important part of when we do the bird is to have black, white, gray, and all these little tiny strokes. Okay, I'm going to go in and pick up some white, and I'm just going to add in a few white strokes down here, a few white strokes where our wing separates from the body, just a tiny bit of highlight in the tail, and then a couple of white under here for the breast. And we're going to leave that for now. Okay, we're going to let him dry, and we're going to leave that for now, and I'm going to put my little round brush in the water. I need a different brush, honestly. It's Sunday. You guys can cut me some slack for not being completely prepared, even though it's day 6 of 31 days of Halloween. There we go. There we go. All right. This is one of the brushes that goes in my kits. It's a number 12 flat from Diverse Woodworking. But again, there's no rhyme or reason to brush sizes. They're not universal like weights and measures. Okay. So I'm going to let my bird dry now because we're going to come back with some highlights. We need to finish the eye. But while we do that, I'm going to pick up some white. I'm going to put a corner in the blue. And we're just going to start coming around and putting in some blue and white halo stripes, rings around. All right. We're going to add in here too, but you can do as many as you want. So I just pick up blue, I pick up white, and I'm just adding in these marks. We want it to look windy and spooky, and our moon is shining. All right, well, I have this brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue, and I'm going to darken up just the ring around the inside. I'm doing very short strokes. My brush is about on a 45. I'm just coming around on the inside of my moon, and I'm just darkening up the ring of the moon a little bit. Not full strokes, just adding a little bit of darkness, shadow to the ring of the moon. They don't have to be complete strokes. I picked up some black there. That is okay. It adds to the shadow I'm trying to create, and that's it. Just have a little bit of darkness in there. Okay? I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to give it a dry. And I'm going to put out a bit of purple. I'm going to do the same thing that we did with the blue and the white, but now we're going to do it with purple and white. So I'm going to load my brush with white. I'm going to put a corner of my brush in the purple, and I'm going to come to my board, my canvas, my surface, whatever, and I'm going to start adding in light touch. A little bit of purple. Light touch. You want them to curve. Sometimes I pick up white. Sometimes I pick up purple. This is very abstract. And like I said, you can do as many or as little as you want. I could keep going all day, but if I went all day, then before you know it, we're going to be all filled in. Now I'm going to grab a paper towel and my brush that had the purple paint on it. I'm going to, it's a little, square that you need. I'm just going to bunch it up a little bit. Get a little part like that. I'm going to dip in my purple. I'm going to dip in my white. I'm going to dip off on my plate. And then I'm going to come to my canvas. And I want a little bit more purple. And I'm just pouncing in. Not too much, again, because we can get totally carried away with this. I'm just pouncing in a little bit of grunge in the background, and that's all I did. Little tiny paper towel, rolled it up into a ball, and there we go. Now I'm going back to the round brush that I used to paint in my raven. I'm going to pick up some purple, and I'm just going to add in some random purple blobs. If you see up here, this is cool. My blue was still wet. I purposely went in my blue to pick up some blue with my purple. Okay. And you can go crazy with this. We can come in here, we can add so many different effects to the back of this painting. We can put stars, snow, purple blobs, white blobs, blue blobs. You can really make this your own and get carried away with it. You can do this whole thing and have your raven be black, your moon be like maybe a white or a pale yellow, and the whole background be like yellows and oranges, more for Halloween. It's totally up to you. This painting has so many ideas, varieties, whatever. Okay, now I'm going to do the branch. I'm going to come in here, we're going to do our branch. We want our branch to start out thick on this side. I'm using the round brush. I'm twirling it. I'm coming all the way to the end. I'm just not starting outside the circle. I'm coming all the way to the end of the canvas. I'm going to go around my feet, but we're going to come back in and add feet, talons, claws, whatever. We're going to come back in and we're going to add in some white so you're going to be able to see where the crow's talons are. And as I come out to the end, I want my branches to get thinner. So they're thicker, but as they V off or Y off, they're getting much thinner. So they start out where they leave the trunk of the tree, thick, but as they worm or work their way down or grow their way down, they get thinner. And I'm pulling some out. Now, if you wanted to just follow the tracer, that's okay. I'm just being a little bit creative and adding in a few more branches to our limb here that our bird is standing on. Okay, then I am going to pick up a little bit of white, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of white, not too much, but we just want to give our branch a little dimension and a little character. So I'm just picking up, it's more like a gray now. I'm adding it in to my paintbrush, and I'm pulling in a little bit of white on my branch. Just a tiny bit, tip of the brush. Okay. Right, I'm going to put that one in the water. I'm going to go back to my little tiny brush. I'm going to get a little bit of black. Now this is a tricky part, and you can fix it, but it's a tricky part. So we have our white. We skipped our white when we did our bird's eye. See that? I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add in a little bit of black. We want to kind of keep the white around the eye as best we can without having to go back in and add the white back in. If you do too much black, you can definitely come back and add the white back in. Okay, so I have the white ring around the eye, and I just added black to the middle. Okay. If you get too much black and you have to add white, just let it dry, or it's going to get very, very frustrating. All right. I could use my liner brush or this little tiny white brush, and I'm going to start adding in some white highlights. So I put a little bit, I did the beak, where the beak meets the head, the line in the middle of the beak for the separation, and then a little bit of highlight on top of the beak. Good morning, Jerry. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I'm going to fresh white. Just a little bit, not too much. It's still a raven, it's a blackbird, but nice fresh white on the breast, a few on the tail feathers, and on the top of the wing. Okay? Then tiny bit on the legs and the talons. Tiny bit on these, not all the branches, but these outer branches, the thin ones out here, just so you can see a separation and they pop. All right. Now a tiny, 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 tiny white dot in the middle of the eye. Doesn't that just like make it the weirdest thing, right? The weirdest thing, you just add that little white dot in there, and look how cool that is. I'm gonna pick any brush that we've been using, whichever, it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna start adding in some dots. I'm gonna start with the white. And naturally, as we add the dots, we run out of paint. So our dots automatically get smaller, but they're still nice and round. I'm gonna do the same thing with the blue. This is such a fun and fairly easy painting. All right. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the purple. The most important part of this painting is to have fun, to not use too much pressure, and when you do your raven, your bird, to use tiny strokes mixed with black and white so you get that feather effect. Okay, so there we go. Isn't that so fun? Dun, dun, dun. Okay, one brush back. Don't need these. And this, I try to keep neat, you guys. Hope you don't mind. I'm going to turn you guys back around. And here we go. Day 6 of our 31 days of Halloween. You can catch the replay. If you want the supply list, 4 colors: black, white, purple, blue. And I'm full of paint. 30 minutes of paint, I'm full of paint. You can get the supply list and the tracers. The link is up there. Thank you all for joining me. Have a great Sunday.